Now, here we go. This episode of Career Mode is very exciting because I love Qatar as a circuit. I think it's the best circuit in the F1 game, and I think it's the best track on the calendar. It's so much fun to drive, it's so fast, and it's so satisfying when you hook up a clean lap. Before we jump into the action though, and we get into the weekend, guys, if you haven't seen the last episode, the Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka, which isn't a bad track in its own right, go check it out, link in the top right. It was a big episode, guys, a really competitive race, and you'll really enjoy it, so go check it out, link in the top right, one of my best qualifying laps of the entire season. For this one though, we're going to go ahead and jump into upgrades. Now, a few we're going to do basically here are going to be for the purpose of getting them out of the way, because I am wanting to get discounts on more productive upgrades, so every weekend we keep getting discounts for those two upgrades, the MG UK and the Energy Store, so I'm going to basically get them out of the way so that we can get some upgrades to some more productive things. Now, also, I got the option of a new rival. I actually declined to answer and didn't comment, so we're not going to have that rival so we don't take a hit on the acclaim. Also, confirmation we had a failure on the front wing end plates, which I cannot afford to purchase right now, so we're going to have to wait for the next episode to buy that. And yeah, that brings us to Qatar and the weekend as a whole. And there's breaking news. It looks like we have a reg change arriving in Season 2, as I kind of forecast in the last episode, and it's going to affect the engine and possibly durability based off what Max is telling us here on the laptop. So we get confirmation that in the next episode, hopefully. As for the forecast, no rain. It is a sprint round, so that should be interesting, and confirmation this weekend, one failure, two upgrades, as that's going to be the kind of improved package this weekend going into the action. So yeah, let's talk about the progression chart. And this weekend, Aston Martin and Mercedes keep pushing forward. The development has been insane, and they're going really hard right now. Red Bull also follow them, Ferrari falling behind a bit, and currently Alpine actually just re-overtook us, and yeah, we're in a pretty close midfield pack right now, as also AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo and Williams bring upgrades, so the entire field spread closing right up. Now, we jumped into practice and daytime conditions, and the first thing I'll notice straight away, the lap time simulation, the delta is broken, it's bugged for the practice programs around here. We was 4 seconds off on our first time lap, which is ridiculous, and on the second lap I tried to push a bit more and give it pretty much full beans, and I was down by 2 seconds. So yeah, hopefully it gets patched. Either way, there was no chance in hell I was gonna beat the target time. So for this one, we're gonna basically sim or quick practice our way through the programs, and that way we'll get the scores in. And yeah, with that we can jump into qualifying, because there's nothing more to really talk about, as FP2 took place after qualifying, as it is a sprint weekend format. So we're going to jump straight into qualifying, and I can't wait, because this is when we get to drive the car flat out around Qatar, and it should be a lot of fun. So here we are, currently on our first timed lap. Night skies, completely different kind of visual impact compared to daytime, and we're going to see what we can do as we throw the car through this triple right-hander, which is so fast, and then into the penultimate corner, which is another left-hander just as fast as the previous ones. Closing up the lap here as we go into the final, almost hairpin in the final corner, but very high speed, almost in 5th gear. We ran a bit wide, and I have to get off the gas to basically avoid invalidating, so I basically sacrificed a lot of exit speed as we cross the line for a 21.9, which only splits to Williams, and that was a bit of a concern. So I went for a second push, currently P18, and you can see here we're up by a 10th, but I just understeered wide through the right-handers again, and at this point I was struggling with tyre wear. I realised after practice, and qualifying confirmed it, tyre wear is extremely high at Qatar in this game, and it's a real challenge. We test out the new pit entry for the first time as we go back to the garage. You can see right now we have to find at least 6 tenths, pretty much 5.5, 6 tenths to get through, even in P15, P14, kind of on that cusp. So we need to deliver a special lap. Now, I made a few tweaks, increased the tyre pressures a bit, kept the wings the same, dropped all the fuel, and yeah, small adjustment on the brake bars as well.
Okay, there's 2 minutes left in this session, and we're in the drop zone. We need a quick lap, or that's qualifying over for us.
And we're going to send it and hope for the best. So turn 1, brake just after the white line across the track, or just before the 50. Important here to maybe get a later apex to get a good exit, Turn 2 didn't quite trouble the apex, but it's not the worst case scenario. You can kind of get away with it as long as you carry good corner speed. Turn number 4, brake at the 50, down to 5th gear, straight up the wheel for a bit and then quickly dip back in for turn 5, into 6, brake just before the 50 I'd say, or just out on the 50. 3rd gear, use all the runoff curb, and look at this, we're 3/10 up already in the first sector, making our way into this long right-hander here. You have to try and be patient and use all the runoff to get a good exit, flat out through this next right-hander with a nasty little bump on the entry, completely flat through there. Down 3 gears for 4th for this long left swooper, little bit deep, and I lost a bit on the exit as we had some oversteer, and now into the triple rights. For the first one, you can take it flat. The second one is a slight confidence lift, and the second one, or the third one, sorry, is a slight downshift just to get the nose in. Then the left-hander is also just a quick downshift and throw the car in, and now the final corner, braking at the 50. 4th gear, try and stay tight, be patient, get the exit right, unlike on our last run. Open the DRS, and it's going to be about 0.6 of a second improvement, and it moves us to P15, and for now, we're in.
They're in 10th place. Okay, so their best lap time is a 1 minute 21.0.
So just getting an idea as to what Lando's pace is before he crosses the line. Unfortunately, that lap was not enough, and we're out in Q1, which I want to say was a surprise, but I was a bit concerned. The red flags were already kind of waving in my head after practice when I saw that ridiculous delta. I feel like the AI are pretty strong here, at least in a single lap, and qualifying mode, and also the deltas are really strong, so maybe that needs a bit of a tweak. Either way, no complaints. I'm actually happy with that lap. We got as close as I have been to Lando all weekend. I was a couple of tenths off per sector and managed to get the gap down to about half a second, and yeah, we was only a couple of tenths from getting through into Q2, so no complaints. The lap felt good. There was no big errors, to be honest with you. That was pretty much perfect. There was maybe like another tenth in it at most. So yeah, we then went into FP2, took care of the programs, got a few discounts as always, and yeah, now we finished qualifying, we finished practice, and we've all wrapped up. I made one final call. So we had a lot of engine wear, I noticed, in qualifying, and because we didn't get out of Q1, I made a last minute decision to actually take an engine penalty, because I feel like we're going to need these components anyway. We've still got a few races to go, and we may as well take it now at a track that we don't seem to be that competitive at, and it might give us a bit of an edge in the race, who knows, in terms of engine power. So we'll go ahead and take basically what I originally was going to do is take a few components, but in the end I actually got a bit frustrated and took a full set, because why not? Let's just send it, give it everything, full power, and of course there's no more failures as we turn them off. So yeah, guys, qualifying done, practice done, let's get to the sprint and then into the main race. We're going to use the sprint as basically a test session.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, just ahead of George Russell, who starts this event from P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Verstappen, Leclerc, Perez, Sainz, Fernando Alonso, Norris, Ocon, Gasly, Bottas, Stroll, Magnussen, Hulkenberg, Joe, Albon, Martinez, Sonoda, De Vries, and Logan Sargent. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint.
Now then, here we go. Time for the sprint race, which is pretty much a pointless exercise as we have that grid penalty for the race in terms of the engine components. So I'm essentially going to use this as practice for the race to understand where the car is and if we should make any adjustments. So fuel load, setup adjustments, tweaks, tire pressures, all that stuff. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, and hopefully we can get a decent understanding of the car out of it. Also, we get to understand how tire wear works as we also practice a race start. Awful start from Magnussen, so we'll see how that affects things in the main race. Other cars may bog down. Such a fast circuit, not many heavy braking zones, so it's going to be hard to find places to overtake. You can see we're all kind of too wide, all line astern following. We'll send into the hairpin just to get Joe out of the way on the medium tyre, which is a bit of a hindrance. Right, that is definitely not flat in the race or anywhere near flat. Back end getting loose in 6th gear. Shades of F1 22.
Okay, information on Bottas. They've got an issue with their car. They're going to be slow.
Bottas struggling anyway. And yeah, that is damage. Right, that is probably going to be an end to the sprint. No need to try and recover the race. Fuel consumption's pretty much neutral based off what default is, so we can go a bit lower. And tyre wear is front limited. Tyre temp seemed okay.
Welcome back to Qatar and the Lusail International Circuit, a track that has a long history for two-wheeled motorsport action. But tonight it's the four wheels of F1 that are back, and Lewis Hamilton going for another win here. So we're back here in Lusail, and this is the track map. 3.34 miles, 16 turns, and just one DRS zone out of turn 16. It's already a fast and flowing track after all. There's a good overtaking opportunity with DRS though, through the long straight and into turn 1. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Perez, Fernando Alonso, Sainz, Gasly, Norris, Stroll, Zhou, Albon, Hülkenberg, Magnussen, Bottas, Tsunoda, Sargent, De Vries, Ocon, Russell and Martinez. With preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. Anthony Davidson is here once again for today's Grand Prix. The last few races have been a bit rough for them, unable to get a clean run. That's got to have some effect on their confidence, surely.
It's not an ideal situation by any means. When you get into a bad run like that, there's always a risk of frustration creeping in, which can cause more mistakes and locks you into this vicious cycle. Hopefully today they can get through turn 1 cleanly and stay calm for the rest of the race.
Now then, time to get serious. This is the main event and we're starting last. We have a lot of progress to make. We have to try and fight back and gain places. The key thing here is to try and limit the damage to Aston Martin in the constructors and also Alonso in the drivers. Those are kind of the two things we're chasing in this end of season goal. So yeah, for this one we're going to go for a medium to hard tyre strategy. Very simple one stop. Originally the game said soft to medium, but I don't think that's possible. I could be wrong, but I just don't think it is possible. So we'll go for the harder compounds and that should be manageable. Fuel wise I'm running 0.5, so essentially a whole lap less of fuel, a whole kilo less of fuel compared to the sprint race in terms of calculations and predictions. So that should be a lot more accurate. Car setup, I'm going to keep the same. I'm happy with the balance. I was tempted to go +1 on front wing, but I'm going to stick with it and see how it feels. If I don't like it for the hard tyre stint, we'll switch the wing and go a bit higher. But yeah, guys, prediction down below. Can we get to the points? It's going to be a tough race, a fast race, and a fun race. But let's get into it and let's send it. Right then, here we go. Let's get ready for the race. Not ideal. Anyway, here we go. Lights are on. Good start. The revs dropped a little bit, but that's okay. Decent getaway. Let's try and get De Vries and Ocon here. They're both on mediums. As we race down to turn 1, going to send it up the inside of Ocon and get a bit aggressive here. Let's see if I can try and get that move done as we head into turn 2. Can't go anywhere, locked in here, blocked behind Sargent. Ocon back through on the inside line, and De Vries lurking. Let's see if we can maybe try and send it up the inside of the hairpin. Bit of wing flying off, I think I saw there. That's the AI really losing time here, stacking up, going too wide. Around the outside of Ocon. Gonna get that move hopefully done here as we take the inside line. There we go, we're through. So we file in behind Logan Sargent. Got a lot more fuel in the car in terms of weight, so we're going to have to readapt a little bit. Track feels extremely bumpy with the full tank as we make our way into the fast rights. Ocon looking for a pass, but there is no way I'm letting him stick his nose in and try to look for a pass there. Just about kept within track limits through the second of those fast right-handers. That was nice. Let's see if we can challenge Sargent here. Important to get a good exit out the final corner. Ocon seems pretty fast on the straight in the Alpine. Here we go down to turn 1. Going to try and get the run on Sargent to try to clear the Williams using the battery. Up the inside, braking nice and late, and we go through. Got to try and stay close to Russell here. He's going to be our ace card. He's going to be basically forcing moves and trying to, you know, fight his way through. We've got to use that to our advantage to try and recover.
Okay, DRS will be enabled this lap. You can use it when you're within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
Russell through on Hulkenberg. Let's see if we can try and follow. The medium tyre's working so far. The soft tyre runners aren't that much quicker, so seems like the race pace is actually a bit better than I thought. I could be wrong. We'll find out. There's a bit of field spread, exactly what we're looking at pace-wise, but I was a bit concerned we're a bit off the pace this weekend. But so far, seems pretty decent and not that bad. Bit of a slop up ahead as one of the Mercedes is breaking away, so that's Hamilton, because we have Russell right ahead of us. And I think there's an Aston Martin in second place, so that's bad news for us. Hopefully Lando is doing his part to combat the green cars. But yeah, trying to wave past Hulkenberg here. Right, we're close enough. Hulkenberg though will have DRS on the cars ahead. Exit not particularly great, but I think we're close enough to challenge here. We've got a decent bit of straight line speed. Here we go. Hulkenberg doesn't defend. A bit hot on the brakes. Hulkenberg back through. I missed a downshift there and I just understeered wide. So a bit of a shame I couldn't get that move done. As Russell is moving on now, so we've got to try and keep up with him if possible. Up the inside, sending it on the brakes, getting aggressive here. I was quite far back, but we got it done nice and clean. Hulkenberg didn't defend. Right, going to try and pass Yuki. Really good final sector. He doesn't have much of a toe from George. He's quite far back, even though he does have DRS. So we're going to try and charge for the move here. So no defends. We're going to commit to the inside line. Braking a bit earlier as we're on the marbles. And we're going to just feather the throttle on and squeeze through. So P15. And we're back with George Russell, who's chasing Joe on the medium tyre. Tyre wear front limited. Tyre temps also pretty high, but no overheating yet. Russell side by side with Joe. Let's see if we can try and stay close. Just saw Williams off deep into turn 1. And there's Lando, so he's not exactly cooking around here, so clearly our car isn't the best for this circuit. Important to pass Joe as he's on the same strategy as us. That wasn't the best left-hander I've taken, a bit wide of the apex, but we're close enough that I can look to challenge here. Although that exit has let me down. We might just be a bit too far back here as Russell is battling Bottas up ahead. We're closing on Joe. Oh, big old send, big old dive into turn 1. And we make it stick. Door wide open, we go straight through. Bottas actually overtaking Lando, who's P12 right now. So not too good so far. Yellow flag. Is it in front?
Yellow flag.
Yes it is. Ferrari up ahead.
Okay, be aware there's an incident in the next part of the track. No overtaking through the yellow flags.
Oh my god, this is going to cause chaos. Careful. Carlos Sainz out of the race. So that's another position for us to gain. We'll see if that triggers a safety car. Either way, it's going to be absolute chaos now with DRS in this straight. The race is completely broken.
No need to worry about the tyre condition for now. Everything's looking good. Okay, information on Sainz. They're retiring from the race. Okay, listen, don't worry about it, mate. It can happen to the best of us. Now look, I've put a new strategy option for you in the MFD, so go and have a look.
Trying to go through on Russell here as we accidentally double shift. Wasn't my intention to pass him, but we're through. We'll ignore the alternate strap as I'm happy with what I'm on right now. Lando through on Bottas. So this is now a battle for the points. And as I was saying before, the race has completely broken. So we now are in this train of cars as we lock up into the hairpin, avoiding Valtteri there. Absolute chaos in this one. Someone's going slow and it's causing a bit of a checking up effect, domino effect, and we're all kind of bunching up. I think it's a slow Red Bull. Albon's catching up, and that Red Bull's been overtaken by a lot of people. Not sure who it is, but it's a slow Red Bull that's the cause of basically Hamilton breaking away at the start and just the constant kind of DRS train breakups. Aston Martin right now are running in P3 and P4, which is really bad news. So we've got to try and figure out something here to bring this race back in our favour, because that's a big pool of points we're losing out on right now. So we've got to try and fight back. It's Verstappen who's slow. So Max dropping. I'm probably going to assume it's wing damage, but he's refusing to pit. So yeah, he's struggling with understeer. See, the tyre wear icon has popped up. This is our scheduled pit stop lap, by the way. But I'm happy to try and stretch this out for a couple more laps. I'm going to do opposite of Verstappen. He stays out, so we're going to pit. Bottas is in. Never done this pit entry before. At full speed, which is pretty scary. Going to use a bit of battery in the way in. Oh, okay, that was actually excellent. That might actually give us a chance here to jump Bottas in the pits, as we have the first pit box, which is always an advantage. Yes, good stop. And we jump Bottas. And we're both on the same tyre, so that's excellent. We might struggle with tyres at the end, but this is basically an undercut on Verstappen and all the cars he's holding up. So this is to try and make our race worth it and get to the point. So we're going to have to push now like crazy.
Okay, stay clear of the white line on the exit. We'll receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross onto the track.
Let's try and switch this tyre on. Outlap is going to be key here. Got to try and push like crazy. Right, cars are pitting. Bottas has stayed in my DRS, although we have a pretty healthy gap over him. Let's see. Lando stayed out there. Verstappen's in the pits, so we're going to jump Verstappen easily. And every single car in the pits, including Albon, who was actually ahead of Verstappen. So, successful undercut. This moves us into the top 7, I think. And Bottas has been dropped. Let's keep pushing. These laps are key. This could make our race. More cars in the pits. Only 2 this time, or 3. Sargent, Russell, Hulkenberg. These are all for position. We're looking at Stroll right now. He's 7 seconds up the road. He was P4, P3. So, that says a lot about, where we are in this race. We're going to suffer on tyres massively at the end, but it gives us track position and jumps us way up into the points. This is a gamble worth taking. Lewis Hamilton fast lap 22.6. Lando is still staying out there, which is interesting. Bunch more cars in the pits, which will now officially move us into the points. And we've also jumped Alonso, who was running in the top 3, so that is a big one. Not sure what happened there, but he's lost a lot of time. Either way, that is good news, as of course Alonso is our nearest rival. And also Aston Martin are our rivals in the Constructors' Championship. That was a silly second warning, so I've got to be careful now. 2 in quick succession. Kept it so clean in this entire race so far. Albon now the next car behind on a fresh medium, so I've got to be careful. Yellow behind. We'll see what happens. If it is a VSC or a safety car, Lando could get a free pit stop here.
Lando's in the pits. Lando in the pits.
Also, Lando's in. Let's see where he rejoins. I feel like the fresh tyre undercut is so powerful around here. This tyre wear is so high. Verstappen's out, so that's enough of his race. His car issues way too much, and he couldn't deal with it. But this is going to move us into top 4 territory. What the hell? What an undercut. This race has just become incredible. We had no pace in qualifying, and suddenly we've come alive in the race. The harder compound tyres have worked well. Higher tyre pressures.
Information on Perez. They seem to have an issue.
Wow, Red Bull falling apart here. I mean, this is incredible. We can finish P4. That would be an insane result. Just got to try and keep it clean now for the rest of the race. But we've done the hard work. What a recovery on 110 AI. You wouldn't believe it based off qualifying. I'm just about keeping Albon out of DRS range, but it's not going to last forever. He's gradually chipping away, although Magnussen now is battling with him, so that may provide an opening to pull away. Okay, Albon now has DRS, so it's going to be about managing for the last 10, 11 laps or so, which isn't going to be easy. We've already got a lot of tyre wear as it is. This is a bit of an issue. Here we go. Russell's got a nice gap over Albon, so this should be an easy pass. Going to make sure Albon doesn't get by, so just George. And we'll just slot him behind and try to follow during this tyre wear phase. I mean, I'll take a P5, I'm not going to lie. I would happily concede P4 if it means we keep on to P5 by sitting in the DRS. Tyre wear warning has popped up already. I don't think we're going to make it on tyres. Wow. That's a bit of a surprise bombshell. Pitting again would ruin our race, but I would be super fast. I'd be gaining multiple seconds per lap. Right, so Russell's dropped me out of DRS range. I've also managed to drop Albon out of DRS range. So it's not looking too bad. I'm not going to make it though, I'm going to have to pit. I will hit 100% tyre wear, I think, at this rate. Tyres are going. I'm going to box. We're going to go for the soft tyre and take a chance. It's probably going to be worn out at the end, but we don't really have a solution here. The early undercut has backfired. I have extreme tyre wear compared to other teams and cars, so we're going to have to fix the issue by just pitting again and doing a 2-stop. We're going to drop to not last place, but near enough last place. We'll be close with Alonso, I think. But then we're going to push that crazy in the soft tyre and see if we can try and fight back. Hopefully a couple of AI battles here and there will help. But this isn't ideal. I don't think we'll score points now, to be honest, but we'll give it our best shot. Looks like we are going to rejoin in last place, to be fair. Just behind De Vries and Alonso.
Look after these tyres now. You want to finish the race on this compound.
Yep, should be able to finish the race on this, hopefully. I know the tyre wear's high, but even I should manage. We've got such an advantage. Fresh tyres are just so powerful around it. All over the back of De Vries. We're going to have to sit behind those through the fast section, which isn't ideal, but can't do much about it. Just going to have to be patient and wait. You can see just the sheer amount of grip we have, the difference. We'll send it here though. And we might actually get a chance of getting Alonso as well. So we can go 2 for 1. Yes, we can.
And that's just 5 laps of fuel remaining.
Oh, the Aston Martin's pretty quick and straight. We're struggling to pull ahead, but there we go, we're through. Let's keep pushing. This isn't over yet. We're going to have to work really hard, but it's not over until it's over. I hope this tyre holds on. So far, the wear isn't too bad. If we can get 2 or 3 good more laps out of this, it might give us a chance. Here we go then, Sargent. Next up on the list. Approaching at a rate of knots. Going to wait for the DRS onto the main straight. Here we go then, nice,
Right, we've got
easy
enough
pass.
fuel for 3 more laps.
Go to the outside so that we get the wider line for turn 1 so we can just swing around and get the move done. I don't think we're going to get points, I think we're too far back. But we'll keep pushing, you never know. We need that AI to battle a little bit more.
Here's some information on Hulkenberg. Okay, they're slowing down. It seems like there's some kind of problem with their car.
That's exactly what I need. Right, Zhou Guanyu is next. I'm a little too far back to go for the move here, which is a bit of a shame. Or not, actually. Might just have a chance. Yeah, I'm taking that. Straight through. Lando next. Game on. Hulkenberg's holding up Norris and Tsunoda. We can now score points. Forget the constructors for a bit.
Okay, just 2 laps of fuel remaining now.
Alonso is way behind, so we can outscore him today, which is great for the Drivers' Championship. I smell a triple overtake cooking up, you know. Hopefully Lando can get in as well and we can try to pass, although this isn't for points, it's for P11. Kicking off here though. Just going to mine the gap. Take it easy. No need to rush. Just going to cruise. Hulkenberg pits. Two for 1. And Bottas pits. So that is now for points. Maybe Bottas couldn't make it on tyres. He pit the same lap as me, if you remember correctly, so maybe he was in the same boat. But that does now give us a point. Checo still has car issues, by the way. I'm not saying we're going to catch him, but you never know, we may have a chance. So Hamilton wins and dominates in Qatar. Leclerc couldn't beat him. And we're going to come through for a point. Plus won for the fastest lap, so 2 points for us today. So in the end, it was worth pitting again, as we're going to pick up 2 points over Alonso, and we'll also limit a 2-point deficit to Stroll, who I believe finished on the podium, but we'll take it.
All right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
Yet another historic win under their belts. Well done to the whole team at Mercedes. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
I really feel the track layout combined with the track temperatures we saw today suited their car. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature, and the driver did a great job managing that as well. They just look so comfortable out there. It's like anything, it always looks so easy when it all just clicks.
While Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend, it's great to see them up on that podium once again.
Now then, as you can see, looking at the race results, I thought Hamilton dominated, but Leclerc actually fought back, and Hamilton just won on the line by the smallest of margins. That aside, bad news, Lance Stroll P3, so podium for Aston Martin, which isn't ideal for us, of course, in the Constructors. Gasly P5, Magnussen P6, Albon P7, Ocon P8, so some big points there for the Meteor runners in this one. Checo P9 is the highest placed Red Bull. We finish in P10 and score the fast lap of the Grand Prix. Lando misses out on the top 10, which is a shame. And then further down, confirmation of Sainz and Verstappen's retirements, with Alonso finishing last on track. So, standings after sprint and race, we are now just 5 points behind Fernando. The gap to Lando now 26, so we're pretty much in the middle in terms of, I think we're pretty locked in for P8, and our focus now has to turn to Alonso. Stroll with that podium moves into the top 10, and not just that, but actually cuts the gap quite a lot to Lando. I still think he's a bit too far back, but you never know. Either way, Leclerc, after losing the championship lead last race from a retirement, this race Verstappen retires and Leclerc gets it back with 18 points to his name. Hamilton with the win keeps himself in the fight, and Russell also keeps himself in the mix, but Mercedes need to try and get a couple of 1-2s just to try and close that gap. In the Constructors though, Mercedes lead the way, and they're the most consistent duo, and it shows as they have a 23-point lead. Ferrari, Red Bull still in the fight. As for us, we are still ahead of Aston Martin, but the gap has been cut to 31 points, so yeah, Stroll's podium doing a bit of damage there and reducing the deficit. Alpine too far back, even they scored big points, they're not really in the mix. And yeah, overall a great weekend, a good recovery, because from my side of the garage, starting last up to 4th and finishing 10th, not bad at all. Had we had better tyre wear, we could have finished in the top 5 quite easily. So yeah, a bit of a shame on that front, but it is what it is, and tyre wear is an issue for us, of course, but we'll try and fix it for next season. But yeah guys, cheers for watching. Like the video, subscribe if you enjoyed it. This was an absolutely insane episode, insane race. Really loved it, really enjoyed it. As always, a big shout out to the members of the channel for supporting me daily. Much appreciate you guys being members over here, and also check out the final videos on screen, guys. Give them a go, let me know what you think, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers for watching, and Qatar was incredible.